Sun energy is starting to get pretty strong these days. It's still quite cold. It's obviously very snowy, really bright, very blue sky today. And we've got a ways to go, very long time to go before the ground is opened up, before the snow melts away and we can get into the earth. But this is the kind of day to work in a season extension space like this high tunnel. So I'm going to keep on plugging away at getting this prepped for early spring seeding. I'd like to be ready to do onions relatively soon. So let's take a look inside and see how some of our experiments are unfolding. I talked a little ways back about, at least for me, the value of bringing snow into a high tunnel. I'll link to that video here, and I did that in the front area a few weeks ago and brought some snow over some beds, and then just the other day, yesterday, I went through and cleaned up some pathways with this sled and brought it in as far as I could go and dumped it on some of these beds. And a lot of the snow is already melted within a day here, even though it's down around 15 degrees or so overnight. The sun in this space right now is definitely intense enough I'll be down to a t-shirt pretty soon. In fact, yesterday I put some snow into the sled and the wheelbarrow just to let it melt throughout the day today so I could use it as liquid water to water some things in. The soil still needs a lot of hydration before I can get anywhere close to seeding, and so that's one of the things I need to work on. And if you're following along pretty closely, this looks new. The main walkway, I dug all the way down and got the 4-inch pipe out, cleaned out the soil that was in it, laid it back in, and buried it in wood chips. This was quite a feat to get this covered because the wood chip pile, a lot of it was seized up enough that I was using a pickaxe to break the chips apart. And so wheelbarrow load at a time, I would dump the biggest, coarsest nuggets went down first, like the coarse aggregate, and then finer wood chips on top. And so this whole pathway, there's about 30 or so, 40 or so wheelbarrow loads of wood chips, all have hot air running through a pipe underneath, and then it's doing the work that I ask it to do of sending the hot air all the way across under here and through the end of the pipe there. So piping hot air, or whatever amount of heat is left in the air once it gets to this end, is now rising up into the tank. So that gets that whole circuit of excess hot air from this space being sequestered in a battery space of this walkway. The walkway is back up to level now, and so the next work is to figure out getting this poly up and taking a look at the space underneath, because it's got the excess heat drawn off, radiant heat available back to it, but we really need to think about hydration now, so that's next. It got hot in here real quick for me. I'm in a t-shirt and feeling like that's a little bit much. I'm wearing thermals underneath these pants and that's a little bit much, but I'm only going to be in here for a little while. I want to try to get this corner opened on the low tunnel. I unplugged the fan for right now just so the audio is better, but the clock's ticking. I think without active ventilation the space could get in here pretty profoundly hot. There's a fragility within that if the solar panel has an issue or if the fan falters on like a 40-degree day that's really sunny this time of year, you could probably cook things pretty thoroughly. So I'll need to think through some other ways of ventilating in addition to the fan. So the work in here right now is to pull this poly up from where I had dumped all the wood chips on top of it. It was nice having the wood chips pin it down because it made it really nice and taut, but I'll need to be able to access this in order to get some work done in here. Then I'm going to start by just, rather than trying to address the needs of the entire length, this 40-foot length of this low tunnel, I'm going to work on just maybe the first section or the second section. Pull open the poly right now. Since it's sunny, it won't lose heat, so I'm not risking any losses from things. There's nothing sown in here anyway, and just assess what's under there and how can I start some seeds in there. So hydration is going to be a pretty majorly important aspect to this. There's some interesting, I'll call them canary in the coal mines in here, in that there's perennial kale. I cut it back pretty hard because it had looked pretty rough. That was growing in here on the north side. Some seed grown from 2 years ago maybe, and you can see the stalks in there. They got burnt out or cold. I'm not sure exactly what damaged them, but something did. They dropped a bunch of seed in the fall, and you can see in here these little brassica seeds all throughout are the little seedlings of the perennial kale. I haven't watered in here, so it's telling me an interesting story that there's enough moisture just below this really dry seaming surface, that if I were to get this hydrated pretty thoroughly on the surface, watering can water this in, it should be able to have enough moisture underneath to have the plants feel okay. But I got to figure out a much better watering system in here. Maybe today it's just going to be getting a bunch of snow on top, closing the poly back down for a slow hydration for a week or so, and then revisiting. And sometime sooner than later, I need to dig up all of this anise hyssop. We don't need that in here. This was for nursery work. You can see those purple, I think you can see those purple crazies all through. If they come out sooner than later, they'll be able to stay dormant and we can offer them up with nursery offerings this spring. If I leave them, they're going to wake up really hard and fast. They'll be competitive with what we're trying to do. They don't need the season extension right now. So there's some work in here, lifting some of these lettuces and moving them to other spots, moving the anise hyssop and getting this hydrated. Maybe I'll put a little effort towards getting the anise hyssop lifted from here and just tucked in. We've got a communal bed over here of random quote-unquote weeds that we could do things with later on. So there's random chards that were out of place, there's catnip, and so I can lift the anise hyssop and tuck them in too. I'm just using a hori to pop them out. The hori is a phenomenal tool for this kind of work. And it's such a beautiful aroma. It's these little sweet licorice scented little bops coming out, and the purple and the green, really beautiful and making me excited about what spring might have coming down the line. I don't want to let them be in the sun for too long, so I'll pop a few and then migrate them over to this bed, settle them in, and then I'll just bury everything in snow when it's all said and done so that they're insulated, they're protected from sun exposure, and then they get a slow drip of hydration. It's a nice way to use snow this time of year to settle nursery stock back in that I'm healing in. I bet there's a few hundred in here. So the space under the low tunnel where I need every last square inch that I can for seed starting sooner than later. So really high value space. The anise hyssop, not so great in there because they're going to grow too soon and they really don't need that push. They're all healed in, and this is a sign of good healing in, is that you can barely see the plant material. The stalks are there, I didn't cut them off, but most of the stuff's still tucked in just a little under soil. I don't want them sticking out very much just in case it gets super cold. But I'll throw some gloves on and put some snow on top of all this to insulate and hydrate them in. A little teaser here, I'm going to be talking about these gloves in another video soon. Some of our favorite work gloves. I'm not going to say who they are just now, but boy oh boy, these cool Japanese gloves. We've been using them for years, and makes it really nice to be able to switch my gloves on and off, do some hand work and then some cold work and feel comfortable. I don't think I need a ton of snow, just enough to really kind of cool things off, keep the sun off, and then slowly drip in there and water that in. I'm not going to worry much beyond that. Maybe a little mulch on the snow. That should be good enough. Now I'm just going to use this simple tool. It's a tool I got from One Scythe Revolution. It's a Japanese cultivating tool that does a really nice job of smoothing out material, but you can use all sorts of different things. Use your hands if you want to. It's an opportunity. I'm going to leave the perennial kale seedlings. That's a nice bonus. We can work around that, and I'm learning that the far side is much harder to get to, so I'm not going to try to work that up, just to the middle or a little beyond. And I want to get it as absolutely flat as I can so that when I flood irrigate, the water is able to spread through here a little bit better. I'm definitely learning over time the value of having these beds be really, really flat. I can put a ton of snow on, I can do whatever, and let it settle in nice and evenly rather than mounded where it pitches to the outside, etc. And if I wanted to bury some hoses in here for irrigation, the flatter it is, the more likely it is that that water would spread through. So this should be enough for right now of prepped space that in a few days I can bring out at least our onions and get them started. I'm not going to be so precious about the space as to move all this. We'll just work around these lettuces and enjoy them soon. And I'm going to call that good enough for bed prep. And now I just want to do the slow hydration. Part of bringing the snow in here yesterday is that it could melt a little bit, be a little bit juicier. I put it on where these seedlings are coming up. I want to place it so it doesn't hurt them. And it should be a really nice, decently thorough but slow way of bringing moisture back into the surface. I don't think I have to get too intense about, you know, putting 100 gallons of water. It's not like a desert in here. It's just the surface got super baked from the sun exposure. As soon as we start sowing seeds in here, they'll green up, they'll start to protect the soil, but for right now we'll let the snow do that work. I'll dump the excess in the walkway since it's all a compost scene. And that gets that area prepped a little. It's pretty intense. I've been in here like 20 minutes, 15 minutes. I can already feel a lot of sun on the back of my neck. I'm so pale from this winter. I've got to make sure I ease into it. So I'm going to cap out my work another 10 minutes in here max, and I need to be back in the shade. I want to ease in. I don't want to be getting burnt before March, but boy, it's fun to feel some vitamin D production happening after a long winter. I thought I'd take a look as well at this compost heating bin. This has been a few weeks now, or at least a few good solid days of just getting up to speed a little bit. I haven't put a temperature probe in here yet. I've poked around and moved some sticks to the edges just to see, and I thought I would take this probe. Let me just go right in the middle, find somewhere that'll let me in. There we go. And get a sense of where it's going. So, oh, that's very much a surprise. That's probably part of why it's so darn warm in here. I'm going to let that go for a minute and take a look at the space, and we'll see what it lands on. So this was all from the scrapings, the original clean out of the walkway through here. I talked about that in the last video, and it's definitely starting to get up to temperature. I'm going to be able to add a lot more compost in here. I'm going to do that when we're ready to start putting flats of seedlings or containers of like sea kale roots or shipmass locust roots that we want bottom heat. So it should do a couple different layers of work for us in that way. But I want to know that the temperature settled at that point. And not much to look at, but seeing that in the interior it's approaching, well, it's over 130 Fahrenheit, 56, 57 centigrade. So definitely providing some warmth within here. And you can see where seedlings are starting to come up. So if we wanted, we could put a little bit of decent soil on top of this, smooth it out, hydrate it, and then sow it as well to some crops to get started early. So this is a hotbed. I don't think I'm going to do that because I want to add a lot more bulk material in here, but it's neat to know it's an option. I think my other work today is to, probably by hand because I don't have a shovel out here right now, is put some gloves back on again and hand move a bunch of the snow to this area, which will be its own little microclimate planting area. I want to cut a piece of poly as a drape for this, so it's another little low tunnel within the space, a semi-low tunnel, not as intensively covered as this low tunnel, but still buffered beyond just the air that's in here. And we'll think about starting to direct sow things like spinach and lettuce and kale that we'll be able to harvest out of here. So the low tunnel will be primarily for seedlings that will ultimately dig up and move to the outside, our onions, and then eventually peppers, tomatoes, things like that, our high value transplantable, maybe nursery things. And this will be a windrow for direct sowing of greens we can eat right out of this space. And that's the pattern I'd like to explore here. I'm going to get some snow on there so it can hydrate in, and that'll be enough for today. Minor gestures, but all going in the right direction. So scrap poly is now over a whole bunch of snow on this area that we want to be sowing relatively soon. The poly will keep the moisture high and also warm things up under there. Not a huge rush, but I have that piece laying around from trimming this low tunnel, so might as well use it. And this space needs a lot more hydration down the line, but we'll get to that when we get to it. For now, a wheelbarrow load of wet snow slowly percolating in, with Anna's hyssop moved out of the way there. As soon as things thaw out outside, we can move all this material outside. I'll plug the fan back in so it's running, close the poly, and we'll think about what it looks like to add additional layers of hot compostable material in here such that I'm no longer disturbing it. Maybe we put really rich compost right along the edge that we can sow things into, or transplant some perennial kale or chickweed or something to get a nice boosted green early on. But that's the update in the space for today. I'm quite literally dripping sweat from moving slowly in the space. I go outside and it's bitter cold. It's truly sauna vibes of hot cold therapy just by doing this work in here. So if you have an opportunity to build a tiny bit of season extension, maybe it's a cattle panel high tunnel or something simple like that right off of your home, or right near where you live for low money like these. When I first bought this, when I bought this 5 years ago, it was $1,000. I just looked it up and it's $2,700. So this sort of scale is really prohibitive for people that are just getting started. Cattle panels, where it might be a 7-foot by 16-foot space, that might cost you $200 or $300, which is a lot to some folks, but doable for many. And if you're in central New York or Maine or New Hampshire, and sunny like this, you might be able to get outside and start moving things forward in a nice way, and also moving your own body towards being ready for spring. I'm warming up and loosening up. I'm thawing out too. Thanks for watching.